The emotional climax to the Clone Wars just came out today on May 4th. Victory and Death was an incredible end to an already incredible series. And before I say anything about my opinion on the episode, I think we should start the breakdown. Also, huge spoiler warning for not just the episode, but this arc, the season, and the show as a whole. The episode started with a classic Lucasfilm logo and a red Clone Wars logo. But unlike the last few episodes, instead of an eerie tone playing behind it, there was a vocal choir singing very somber notes. The first shot of the episode is the Venator going through hyperspace. We then can see clones outside the medical bay, and instead of trying to open up the door, they are making sure to tear it down so the blast door cannot be resealed. On the inside of the medical bay, Rex asks Ahsoka for a plan, and she tells him that he has to set his blasters to sun. They're not trying to kill anyone. Once the clones get through, Ahsoka pushes the door with the Force, and Rex stuns any clone that's not knocked out by the door. Ahsoka tells R7 to find a way out. R7 closes the blast doors around them, and they learn the escape pods have all been destroyed and that taking a shuttle is their best bet. The next scene is of Maul with a wrist comm that he took from the arm of a clone in the last episode. He is listening on the comm channels for the clones to communicate with each other for the possible locations of Ahsoka and Commander Rex, since they have a plan to escape and he can take it for himself. Maul enters the hyperdrive room and uses the Force to throw many clones down into the abyss below. After taking out the clones, Maul uses the Force to take one reactor and then the other, crashing down. The ship then jumps out of hyperspace, fairly severely damaged. And as Ahsoka and Rex made it to the hangar bay control center, Rex says that they have everything locked down, and if they weren't trying to kill them, he'd be proud of the clones. Ahsoka gives her droid companions various things to search for on the computers. They are able to learn that there is one shuttle left on board, and that they jumped out of lightspeed because the hyperdrive had been destroyed. From his wristcom, Maul learns the location of Rex and Ahsoka. One of the droids tells Rex and Ahsoka that since they have fallen out of hyperspace, they are now caught in a moon's orbit. The droids open the main hangar doors and several side doors. The side doors reveal the shuttle that they want to escape in, and also tens of clones. The ARC Trooper Jesse is leading the clones in the hangar. Rex asks how they are going to get to the shuttle, and Ahsoka says that she doesn't want to hurt them and that she doesn't want to push directly because there are too many. Rex then tells Ahsoka the reality of the situation, that the clones don't care and that the clones are willing to die on the ship as long as they terminate Ahsoka. She then pulls off Rex's helmet to see that he is crying. She tells him that he was a good soldier and that every one of the clones is as well. They may be willing to die, but she's not going to be the one to kill them. Ahsoka then comes up with an idea. It then cuts to Rex walking Ahsoka with her hands up and his blasters to her back in the hangar bay. Rex tells Jesse to hold his fire, and Jesse tells him that he has direct orders and that if Rex does not terminate her, that he will. Rex tells the clones that the order is to terminate Jedi for treason against the Republic, but Ahsoka is not a Jedi. As they say this, the droids make it to the control station where they can access the hangar floor. Jesse then reminds Rex that he said himself that under the special order from Darth Sidious, they should terminate Ahsoka Tano and any clone that disobeys her. Rex tells him that if they don't get this right, they'll be the ones committing treason. Then Jesse accuses Rex of treason against the Republic and demotes him a rank, and he says that he is now marked for treason along with Ahsoka Tano. The droids give Ahsoka the signal, and Ahsoka asks Rex if he's ready, and Rex says that he didn't like being commander anyway. Before the clones are able to open fire, the droids release the floor from under them, sending them falling into the repair bay. Ahsoka and Rex then fight with the remaining clones, with Rex using his blaster in stun mode, and Ahsoka using the Force to incapacitate the clones. Maul enters the hangar bay and sees the shuttle. Ahsoka then swings her blasters at him, but he is able to push her back with the Force until she nearly falls all the way down into the repair bay. As she is trying to climb out, Jesse comes back into consciousness and starts firing at her. Maul now is able to take the shuttle, and he begins to take off. And Ahsoka finally climbs out of the pit. As Maul is about to leave the hangar, Ahsoka uses the Force to pull the shuttle back. Maul strengthens the thrusters, and Ahsoka is having a difficult time holding him in place. Maul strengthens the thrusters, and Ahsoka is having a difficult time holding him in place. Rex is still stunning more clone reinforcements as they come in. R7 gets shot in the dome and is knocked out. Maul still strengthens the thrusters and Rex gets shot in the shoulder, and Ahsoka chooses to let go of the ship Maul is on, and he is able to fly out of the hangar and jumps into hyperspace. Back on the Venator, Rex and Ahsoka still are defending themselves against the clones. Ahsoka thrusts her lightsabers into the ground and uses the Force to spin them, cutting a circle in the floor, sending them into the repair bay below them. The Venator are still moving closer into the moon's orbit, as Ahsoka and Rex realize they fell into a pit of even more clones. Jesse then gives the order to blast them, and the 2 remaining droids send the platform from the repair bay back up to the main hangar deck, but they are found by the clones and terminated. Ahsoka and Rex then look around the repair bay for a flyable ship, and they are able to find one surviving Y-Wing. More clones fire at them, as Ahsoka is visibly exhausted as she blocks blaster fire. She uses the Force to throw Rex over to the Y-Wing, which was suspended above an airlock. More clones fire upon Ahsoka, and she doesn't seem capable of defending herself anymore. She falls down to one knee and slowly deflects the blaster fire. The next scene cuts to the control deck of the ship. As the captains try to stabilize the ship, the command deck blows up, as well as other parts of the ship, while it begins to enter the moon's atmosphere. The ship tilts sideways from the gravitational pull of the moon, and it sends the clones flying sideways. Rex then calls out for Ahsoka, and she jumps out to the Y-Wing, and she narrowly misses. Rex then has to take control of the Y-Wing to find Ahsoka floating around in the air. He then finds her and opens the gunner seat on the top of the Y-Wing. She's unable to grab it, and she flies off again. Ahsoka is suspended in the air, and she runs across broken pieces of the Venator. Rex is able to spot her easier in this position, and he flies into an intersecting position. Ahsoka then jumps off a piece of debris and very narrowly grabs the gunner seat position. Rex then pulls off from the crashing Venator, and Ahsoka sits down in the gunner seat as the Venator flies under the clouds. Now Rex and Ahsoka are finally able to have a second to reflect on what just happened. After a fade, we get an aerial shot of the downed Venator, and at its bow we are able to see the Y-Wing carefully parked as Rex does little maintenance to the starfighter. He looks over to see Ahsoka in a cloak standing right before several sticks with clone trooper helmets on them. Regular clone troopers, 501st helmets, and Ahsoka's 332nd helmets, and even Jesse's helmet. A wider shot shows that all these sticks with helmets on them are markings for individual burials of clones. Ahsoka then looks in her palm, and she sees her lightsaber. She then lets it slowly roll off the tips of her fingers, leaving it there on the ground forever. Another fade reveals an Imperial-era shuttle landing on a snowy world, with Imperial snowtroopers stationed down in front of it. As the shot opens, you can see a crashed Venator, now covered in debris, and snow as probe droids and snowtroopers patrol the area. Then you can hear the breathing of Darth Vader's infamous breathing apparatus as he walked to the bow of the ship to see what remains of the clone's burial. He looks down to the ground to see a cylinder in the snow. He wipes it off to see Ahsoka Tano's lightsaber, and he ignites it to see its blue blade shine. He looks up to see a bird, the Morai. He walks away with the lightsaber in his hand, and the final shot is of a clone's T-visor. Clearly seen the episode or skipped to the end to see my opinion. But if you haven't seen the episode, my narration definitely does not do the episode justice. It's really powerful, and when you watch it, it's a very heavy-hitting episode, with a lot of symbolism and emotion. Personally, I think this is an amazing episode, and this arc is easily the best of the series. That's always a great thing to have your final episode be the best of the series, but nothing like having your final 4 episodes be great. I really wouldn't review this episode as best of the series. It's really between The Phantom Apprentice and this, but I would definitely review this arc as the best by a long shot. I don't even know what would come in second. This episode in particular is more dark and a little bit more heavy-hitting than Revenge of the Sith. But then again, I didn't see Revenge of the Sith in theaters when it came out. I grew up with it, so if you know the story, it really can't have the same weight if you remember the story from your many watches as a child. But now when I watch it, I feel a sense of dread. But the first watch, I can't really have the same feeling I have with this, because the first watch I don't truly understand the meaning of what's happening and the weight of it all. But I'm sure I would be left with the same response as the one I had when I finished this episode. Now I'd like to talk about the symbolism in this episode, because it really made me emotional. There's several times when Ahsoka and Rex are fighting in the hangar bay, trying their hardest just to stay alive. You can see Ahsoka becomes visibly tired. It made me think about Jedi Fallen Order when Cal and his master are fighting the clones, and it really makes me think about all the other places in the galaxy where the Jedi had to go through this, and they had to fight their own clones. Unlike how Ki-Adi-Mundi was just gunned down immediately, he deflected a few bolts, but his death was relatively quick. Or Plo Koon, who was just shot out of the sky. And there were some Jedi like Ahsoka, Caleb Dune, and his master, who really had to put up a fight for their lives, and most of them just didn't make it. A lot of them ended up in the situation where the clones were really going to die to kill the people they once loved. With Vader, I did see a leak beforehand that there was a dark figure in the marketing toys for the Clone Wars Season 7, and I read the article about 2 weeks ago, and it gave the possibility of it being Vader, which I wish I hadn't seen, because once the first helmet faded, before Ahsoka and Rex touched down on the planet for the burial of the clones, I thought it would have been Vader showing up. So it's unfortunate that Vader wasn't too much of a surprise for me. But the whole day I was off social media, so I didn't get spoilers from people in Australia or New Zealand. But I was off social media the whole day, so I didn't get any spoilers from people in New Zealand or Australia. I think it really hit me the most when the clone burial and the Darth Vader walking away from the clone helmet scenes happened. Mainly because of the symbolism that each held. Especially Darth Vader walking away from that one clone helmet, the clone that's unidentified, and all we know about them is that they at least went the extra mile to join Ahsoka's battalion from being in the 501st. They fought the hardest alongside Anakin before his turn to the dark side and his abandonment of the light. It's a pretty strong message, as well as Jesse's helmet and the other clone helmets at the burial is pretty heavy hitting. I don't want to dwell on this too long, so I think that's all. I've had a pretty weird May the 4th, to be honest, because of the climax of the show, and it's a pretty depressing one. But a great way to end. I didn't expect in a million years it would be this impactful, this powerful. And that's all I have for you for today in this review. If you had the same opinions as me, please tell me in the comments below. Like the video, there, and I'll see you in the next video. But until then, may the 4th be with you.